3-year-old Ebba Coombs is learning how to take steps with some help. It's a big deal when she learns something new.
I think that's one of the harder things with the disorder is that you watch her work really, really hard to gain skills, and then she gets a virus that sets her back a month or 2 months that she has to start again.
Ebba has a rare condition called CDKL5 deficiency disorder. It affects every aspect of her development. She's prone to vomiting spells, is completely fed through a tube, and has seizures, often at night. While she can only see colors and familiar shapes, she recognizes her parents and older siblings.
She brightens our days every day. She's a very, very special child. She loves her siblings. Her developmental trajectory is different, but she's not less of a child because of her disorder.
But because of her disorder, there is less available for children like Ebba. For parents of medically fragile children, life is a never-ending fight for help, and it's leaving families emotionally, physically, and financially distraught. According to the latest data, Newfoundland and Labrador has the second highest rate of medically complex children in the country. The province had the highest rate back in 2015 to 2016. Ebba's parents both work full-time. Because of their finances, they don't qualify for any provincial government support through the Special Child Welfare Allowance Program. They have to cover the cost of everything, from meds to caregiving, and they estimate they pay around $40,000 a year out of pocket for Ebba's care.
Nobody's really looking at the child and what they need, right? They're looking at income brackets that don't mean anything, and different diagnoses come with different needs. And none of them, from what I can see, are looking at how to make a child thrive or a family thrive against the challenges that life has thrown at us, right?
The government, our government supposedly prides itself on social programs and social assistance, but it's not consistent and it's not given to everyone.
Because they don't qualify for support, Jordan and Theo also have to find their own childcare. Ebba hasn't been able to get into daycare because of long wait lists and a lack of inclusion workers. They couldn't find a local caregiver they could afford, and advocating with the government went nowhere. So the family relies on caregivers from outside the country to live with them full-time. But when these caregivers leave, it can take months to fill the gap. That means no help. On top of this, the school they've been trying to get Ebba into isn't accessible. To change that, they've been told to lobby government ministers or the premier.
On top of everything that you do all day to care for your child and to try and give them the best chance, then you have stuff like that thrown at you because it's
you don't have time to do it.
I've written letters for before when I went through the daycare thing. It takes a lot of time to write an impactful letter. It takes a lot of time to advocate with government officials. The last round, I had a number of conversations. It didn't go anywhere, and it's exhausting. It's really exhausting, and it's disheartening that in 2024, I have to fight for my child to have education and to have care.
Are you tired?
Yeah. Yeah. All of Ebba's seizures come in sleep. She often is sick when she has vomiting cycles. So once you have that in your life, you can never sleep the same. And then you have all these other things on top of that. And it's really tough.
Jordan Lai also has CDKL5. She's nonverbal, has gastrointestinal issues, and is fed completely through a tube. For much of her life, she's had seizures almost every night. Her parents didn't bother applying for government support because it's a long and invasive process, and they knew they wouldn't qualify because of their finances. They have 3 other children. Finding a caregiver is a challenge.
As a parent, you always feel a sense, even without a child with complex needs, you always feel a sense of guilt, like you're not being able to give everything to each child. But when you have a child that demands 100% attention, it kind of makes that that guilt even worse, because if she's really upset, I either have to be with her to try and help calm her down, or I'd have to leave her and be with my other kids. So you feel torn no matter what.
That's time you miss out on doing something as a family. It's time you miss out on helping with homework. But the situation dictates that that's what you have to do. And obviously that's where a worker helps and alleviates some of that.
Within the last 14 years, Jillian and Jason have hired about 10 different caregivers. It's not feasible to hire somebody full-time, so their current caregiver only spends around 15 hours a week with Jordan. That costs the family about $1,000 a month. The cost of things such as diapers and tube feeding supplies adds up to $800 a month. The family recently had to convert a minivan to make it wheelchair accessible. That cost them $38,000. The money is one thing. Then there's the emotional toll. There's no number for that. Jordan has been moved from elementary school to junior high. Back at elementary school, her classmates used to wave at her in the hallways and push her on the swing. Now in junior high, she's isolated in a class with only 2 other students. Her parents want her back in a school where she's happy. They lobbied and they lost.
You're constantly worried about your child. You're constantly, well, like when she goes to school, is she being looked after? What's going to happen when she's 21 and she doesn't go to school? And when I'm physically not able to care for her, what's going to happen when Jason and I pass away? Who's going to look after her? Those thoughts are constantly with you all the time. So when you have the emotional stress every day, you have the physical stress, it becomes a lot. And that's just with your child with special needs. That's not accounting for all of the other stresses that you have just with having a family, right? That every family goes through. So when you put it all together, it can be overwhelming at times, and it can be a lot. And I find after having gone through it for 14 years, it is starting to take its toll.
When you described Jordan so beautifully as someone who loves hugs, smart, loves playing with her toys. When you look at that person, what do you hope? What do you hope for her? What do you hope for her future?
Oh my, it's a loaded question.
Just she can live life to her potential.
Yeah, that she's loved, and if we can't take care of her, that someone will.
There's things in place that we know.
Yeah, that she's happy and lives to her potential and has a full, beautiful life.
Ebba is only 3, but her parents also worry for the future. Her mom is too busy and overwhelmed to think about it. All the family can do is take things one step at a time.
For all of the challenges that Ebba has brought, she has made our life better. You have a deeper appreciation of things when you have a child that has needs like hers. I had no idea how miraculous it was, how my other children just learn things. When she gains a skill, it just opens up your heart, and she's a very special child.